There are about 60 million Christians who are eligible to vote, but people would be shocked to know that about half of them are not registered and are not voting. But Ned Ryun is the founder and president of American Majority, and he is here with us today to talk about mobilizing the grassroots. Now, American Majority is a nonpartisan political training organization that identifies and trains activists and candidates at the state and the local levels. Now, under Ned's leadership, the organization has trained more than 20,000 activists and candidates since its founding in 2009, and they're doing a great job. We've partnered with them and glad to have Ned with us today. Ned, good to see you.
Tony, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Now, let's talk about, as we lay out the groundwork for why people need to be engaged in this election, why is this election so important?
Well, you think about where we're headed as a country, and you alluded to this, that we're headed towards $16 trillion in debt, the expansion of the state. And I make the argument to evangelicals, if you're concerned about life and marriage and your values, the bigger government grows, the more it's going to infringe upon those rights and those freedoms. Right now, we're really at a turning point as a nation. Either we're going to go down this path of statism and more government, which will eventually endanger, and already is, life and marriage, or we're going to stop, turn it around, and get back onto a path of freedom and prosperity. And 2012 is a huge deciding point. Which direction are we going to take? And we say this election is the most important in our lifetime. 2012 is a critical election, probably, if not the most important, one of the most important in our lifetimes.
When you talk about the economy, you talk about the spending, the debt, and then you talk about the social and moral issues. Those are not crossroads that occasionally they intersect. That's a four-lane highway. I mean, those things run side by side.
Exactly, and one of the things that we really try to communicate with American Majority is we want a comprehensive conservatism and understanding where how we feel about life and marriage and how we feel about the economy and the size of government. They intersect, they impact each other. One of the things I tell evangelicals and Christians is if you want to see life and marriage eventually succeed, if you want to continue being a light to the world for the gospel, think about freedom of religion, freedom of assembly, freedom of speech. And if you really want to see us continue on as a nation how we have been in the past, you've got to protect those rights. And the way that you did is become involved in the elections, first by voting, but you've got to take it to the next level. You've got to adopt a candidate. This is one of the things. I want them to adopt a candidate this fall. Could be state legislative, could be local, could be federal. They have to adopt them. They have to work on their behalf and not pray, that's good. Not just simply vote, that's good. Get out, go door to door, make live phone calls for them.
That's right. These issues don't just pop up somewhere. They're a part of who we put in office.
Right, exactly.
And you'd actually take it a step further. It's not just get involved in the campaigns of other individuals, but it's become a candidate yourself.
Exactly. That's what American Majority does, is we go out and we identify and train people to run for state legislative down to school board, believing that we can build a farm team, not only for those levels, but also for higher office. And I'm convinced one of the ways we can get back on the right course as a nation is to get more and more good men and women involved who are good, credible candidates who can run and be successful, not at the state and local level only, but also at the federal level as well, and get us turned around and get the right policy implemented. Because I say this, politics is policy. And if you win politically, absolutely, you're going to get to implement the right policy. We need more people that will go out and win so they can implement the right ideas.
Well, Ned, let me ask you this, because you do a lot of work at the state and the local level. What's the level of enthusiasm you're seeing out there?
I'm actually very encouraged. We work a lot with the Tea Party. This spring has been a real show of strength for them, for the grassroots, for the Tea Partiers, not only in the GOP Senate primaries, where they've been very successful, but also up in Wisconsin. So I'm encouraged. The grassroots doing the right thing. They're involved in the door-to-door, the phone banking when it comes time for the elections. And so I tell people, if you look at what's happening in the spring, I'm optimistic about the fall, but we need every person to be out there, to be involved at some level. And I tell people, you have no excuse to not be involved this fall. If it's making some live phone calls, great. If it's going door to door, great. If it's engaging the 4 friends that you've registered to vote, great. Do something at some level. You have no excuse not to be involved.
And how can people find out more about your organization?
AmericanMajority.org is our website. And we encourage people, if you're thinking about running for office, or not even thinking about running for office, but want to be better at your engagement, contact us, team@AmericanMajority.org. We not only train people to run for office, we train activists on how to be more effective in bringing about real change.
As we wrap this up, one of the key components beyond the training, which, by the way, folks, the training is excellent. If you're thinking about being a candidate, contact Ned and his team. But voter registration is
That's
a key
right.
component of what you're doing as well.
It absolutely is, and I was just talking with someone this morning that said there's up to 6 million, at a minimum, 6 million evangelical Christians that are not registered to vote. And you think about what I think will be one of a very close election this fall. Just if half of those people will get registered and then engage. But then again, I want engagement to become a lifestyle, not only in 2012, but 2013, 2014, 2015, and beyond. It's only when we get to that level of engagement that we're really going to get this thing turned around.
I would just say, when we look at those numbers of people who are not registered to vote, Ned, as a Bible-believing Christian, I think it's morally wrong to not be engaged in the process. When we see a nation that is moving down a path of redefining God's institution of marriage, when we see approaching 55 million plus unborn babies whose lives have been taken, and we say, well, we voted in this election, didn't make a difference. It is a sustained presence of being salt and light.
Exactly, and if you truly believe that our rights are God-given, and that this form of government that we were given is there to protect our God-given rights, for you not to be involved, I think you're right. Borders on being a sin. You have to be involved. You have to be engaged. You have to be a good steward of the freedoms that you've been given. And if we learn in Scripture, if you're not a good steward of what you've been given, it'll be taken away.
Absolutely. Ned, thanks for all that you're doing.
I appreciate it.
Great to partner with you.
Thank you, Tony.
Well, recognizing the stakes of this year's election, the Family Research Council has been touring the country on the Values Bus. We've been in 21 states visiting churches and rallies and registering voters all along the way. The Values Bus will continue its tour up until and through the November elections. And this past weekend, the bus was in Wisconsin. And on the bus was FRC Senior Fellow for Policy Studies, Bob Morrison.
We're happy to share the message of vote your values with citizen activists at the local level, with members of congregations. When we are able to meet with them and talk about ivotevalues.org, we can encourage these folks to understand that they can reach out to their family members, to the members of their church, to their neighbors, and give them the information they need to make informed decisions so they also can vote their values and expand their reach and their influence. The important issues that are before the electorate this year do involve the protection of human life, they involve the protection of marriage, true marriage, and of course the vital question of religious freedom, which is under its gravest threat in 225 years. All of these come together when we are able to share information with the grassroots, and they in turn inform us, and we carry that information back to Washington.
There are about 60 million Christians who are eligible to vote, but people would be shocked to know that about half of them are not registered and are not voting.